When did a sibling blame you for something ridiculous? I was trying to eat my cereal in peace when my sister Sydney burst in, holding her phone like it was definitive proof. She had that expression that meant she was about to accuse me of something absurd. This time she was convinced I was running a harassment campaign against her Instagram, where she posts makeup tutorials and outfit photos for about 15,000 followers. It began 2 weeks earlier when Sydney noticed rude comments on her posts. At first, they were mild. Things like, "This look isn't working, try something else." But the tone escalated. Someone compared her contouring to a muddy zebra. Another called her outfits crimes against fashion. She started getting 5 or 6 nasty comments per post, and her engagement was falling fast. Sydney immediately assumed it was me. Her reasoning: I was jealous because my photography account had only 200 followers. She started treating me like a suspect in my own home. She'd walk by my room whispering, "I know what you're doing," as if we were in a spy film. She changed all her passwords, even Netflix, which annoyed me because I was mid-show. The accusations intensified as the comments continued. She printed screenshots and highlighted patterns in the language. She argued the commenter used certain filler words the way I did, and even misspelled definitely the same way I sometimes do. She matched post times to when I was home from school. She brought a folder to our parents like a detective with a case file. Mom and Dad tried to stay neutral, but Sydney wouldn't relent. She raised the issue at every meal, told our cousins at Sunday lunch that I was cyberbullying her, and even made a PowerPoint about online harassment that she forced the family to watch during movie night. Dad fell asleep halfway through. Mom kept saying we should resolve it ourselves. Things escalated when Sydney lost a small brand deal. The company said her engagement wasn't meeting their standards. She lost it and barged into my room at midnight, accusing me of ruining her chances and costing her $500. I was half asleep and confused, but she didn't care. She threatened to expose me to her followers if I didn't confess. The next day, she posted a long story alleging that her sister was behind the hateful comments. She didn't name me, but she did post my baby photos, which felt worse. Her followers split between support and calling her paranoid. Some began digging like amateur detectives. My phone filled with messages from strangers asking if I was the evil sister. I decided to investigate. I spent hours checking accounts that left nasty comments. Many seemed fake, no posts, generic usernames. Then I noticed one account had liked a post from 2 years earlier, before Sydney was trying to become an influencer. The only people who'd scroll that far back were real friends. I dug deeper. All the hate accounts followed the same 20 people from our school. Then I found the smoking gun. One account accidentally liked, then unliked, a photo from Caitlin, who used to be Sydney's best friend until Sydney dropped her for the popular crowd last year. I remembered Caitlin crying in the bathroom after Sydney publicly called her boring. I confronted Sydney in the kitchen while she filmed a smoothie bowl tutorial. I showed the screenshots linking the hate accounts to Caitlin. Her expression shifted from anger to shock and then embarrassment in seconds. She tried to deny it, but I had the receipts. Every hateful comment traced back to Caitlin and her friend group. Revenge for being ghosted. Sydney had to admit she was wrong to accuse me. She posted an apology that framed it as an honest mistake rather than a week-long accusation against her sister. Most followers moved on, but at dinner, Mom's phone buzzed. She showed us something, and both parents froze. "Girls," she said slowly, "we need to talk." Mom revealed she'd been running an Instagram account, Suburban Mom Life 47, sharing recipes and crafts. The feed was full of tuna casserole photos and painted rocks she'd been making in the garage for months. Sydney was stunned to learn Mom had 800 followers. Mom scrolled through posts from 6 months earlier when she started the account, and then opened an analytics app. She tapped a few buttons, then pulled up Sydney's account. Charts and numbers filled the screen. Sydney went still. Mom pointed to a follower growth chart showing huge spikes where Sydney gained thousands in a few days, spikes tied to Bangladesh, Russia, and Indonesia. The engagement was poor, under 1% liked or commented. The analytics showed 7,000 followers joined in suspicious waves that didn't match viral posts or collaborations. Sydney began to shake and insisted it wasn't what it looked like. She claimed she only did loop giveaways to grow organically. Dad asked what a loop giveaway was. Sydney faltered. I explained. Participants follow many accounts to enter a contest, but those followers usually don't engage and often unfollow later. Mom agreed that the patterns matched fake growth. Sydney's shoulders slumped. She admitted she'd spent $200 of birthday money on a growth service, promising organic followers and better reach. Mom confessed she'd experimented too, spending $20 and getting 500 obviously fake accounts, no profile pictures, random usernames. Dad asked how much Sydney had spent in total. She mumbled and then admitted to about $400 over 3 months, using gift cards and birthday cash. I showed my photography account, 200 followers, but a 15% engagement rate. Real people commented and shared my sunset photos. Some even printed them. Sydney flushed and pushed back from the table. She said we didn't understand the pressure of maintaining an influencer image, that school expected big numbers, and brands wouldn't work with her otherwise. She stormed upstairs. Mom explained she'd been researching teen social media pressure after noticing Sydney's obsession and set up her account to learn more without spying. The rest of dinner was quiet. I cleared the table while parents whispered about how deep the fake follower issue had become. Mom kept showing charts and Dad grew more concerned. That night, I wondered what else Mom had been doing. The timing of her analytics reveal, right after Sydney's exposure, felt conveniently revealing. The next morning, Sydney screamed from her room. Her follower count had dropped by 2,000 overnight after Instagram purged bots. The numbers were falling in real time, and she refreshed obsessively. She grabbed me and showed 3 brands, messages asking about her follower demographics and engagement. One brand selling hair vitamins noted 40% of her audience was accounts from Bangladesh, despite English content. Another flagged possible use of growth services. A jewelry company canceled a collaboration. Sydney covered her face, trembling. Mom called us for breakfast and suggested a family meeting after school. Dad agreed. We needed to resolve this before it worsened. Sydney left for school early to avoid questions. At school, I went to the computer lab during free period. Beckett Allen had been working on social media analytics for coding class and lit up when I asked for help. He asked for Sydney's username and quickly pulled her data across 3 monitors. He pointed to a massive spike 3 months ago when she gained 2,000 followers in one day, essentially impossible without buying followers or follow loops. He showed individual follower profiles with usernames like user7364829 and account 9472651, accounts that followed thousands but had 0 posts. Beckett explained bot farms and demonstrated databases where followers are sold in packages, starting as low as $10 for 1,000. He found at least 40% of Sydney's followers matched known bot patterns. He offered to prepare a full report. I took screenshots and went to lunch. During lunch, Caitlin approached my table, nervous and apologetic. She admitted she and 5 girls had created the fake accounts and left the mean comments. They'd coordinated insults and timing to damage Sydney's engagement as revenge for how Sydney treated them, specifically calling Caitlin boring in front of the cafeteria. The group had planned the retaliation for months and escalated it beyond what they intended. Caitlin said she deleted the fake accounts after seeing the harm it caused and regretted it. After school, I returned home to find Beckett already at our dining table with his laptop showing professional-looking graphs, proving at least 40% of Sydney's followers were fake or inactive. He presented usernames and follow patterns to her parents. Sydney sat with her arms crossed, trying to appear defiant, but she looked close to tears. Under pressure, Sydney confessed she felt trapped. Buying followers became a cycle. Buy to hit a milestone, then buy more to keep up appearances. Brands started to notice, and she felt she couldn't stop. Mom explained again that she'd been researching social media pressure and had created her account to understand what we were experiencing without appearing intrusive. She'd read about teens spending money on fake followers and getting addicted to validation. Dad said we needed clear family rules: no buying followers, likes, or comments. Discuss any sponsored content with the family first. Sydney agreed, but feared everyone at school would see her as a fraud as her numbers dropped. I suggested honesty with her real followers. She resisted, worried about backlash. I showed examples of influencers who admitted buying followers and regained respect. Mon supported honesty as the only path forward. Dad cleared plates and muttered about social media's complexities. Sydney opened her laptop and drafted apology posts, repeatedly deleting them because nothing felt right. Mom advised she write like speaking to a friend instead of sounding formal. After 20 minutes, Sydney showed us a draft explaining the pressure she felt, admitting she'd made bad choices, and including screenshots of sketchy growth service emails and receipts proving she'd spent hundreds. Her phone buzzed. A classmate, Raina, texted, confessing she'd told Sydney about the follower service because she'd used it too. Raina received $50 for every person she referred, and Sydney went red when she saw the screenshots. She'd saved the conversation, showing how Rhea had used Sydney's desperation to make money. Rhea had sent the link 3 months earlier when Sydney was upset about having only 5,000 followers, and promised it was safe. Sydney added those screenshots to her draft, illustrating how these services target insecure teens through friends. The next morning, the office secretary called my name over the intercom. Cheryl, the school counselor, needed to see me, Sydney, and Caitlin right away. I found Sydney already in one of those stiff, plastic chairs. Caitlin arrived a minute later, nervous and keeping her distance. Cheryl closed the door and explained someone had reported the cyberbullying and the school needed to investigate. She produced a folder with printed screenshots of the mean comments and Sydney's public posts accusing her sister. Caitlin spoke quickly about how Sydney had humiliated her in the cafeteria last year and destroyed their friendship. Sydney's follower count kept dropping while she refreshed the app. A peak teenage meltdown, watching fake friends disappear one refresh at a time. Caitlin described months of lunches alone in the library after being called boring. Sydney's shoulders shook. She offered a sincere apology, admitting she'd focused on popularity and forgot their long friendship. Cheryl gave both girls sheets to write impact statements about how the situation affected them, planning to use their words anonymously at a digital citizenship assembly. They spent the rest of the period writing while I sat there as an involuntary witness. Cheryl collected the papers for the next assembly. After school, Sydney received an email from Brian Coates at the makeup company she'd lost the deal with. He said they'd been watching and were impressed she planned to come clean. The company valued authenticity over raw numbers and would consider working with her if she posted her confession publicly. Sydney showed me the message trembling. She saw it as a chance to restart honestly. She spent another hour refining her post to include the Raina situation and an apology to Caitlin, plus a section about the pressures that push teens to make bad choices online. At 7 o'clock that night she posted, then tossed her phone across the bed, not wanting to watch the reactions. Responses were mixed and immediate. Some people unfollowed, calling her a fraud. Others shared their own pressures and admitted they'd considered buying followers. Influencer watch groups debated whether she deserved a second chance. By midnight, she'd lost 2,000 followers, but gained hundreds of comments from people who respected her honesty. The next morning, Sydney left her phone in a drawer and ate breakfast without checking it. Mom declared a phone-free dinner that night. Dad was relieved at the thought of cooking without being filmed. Later, I found an email from Beckett with a 20-page PDF of his analysis on Sydney's followers. Graphs, charts, the works. I forwarded it to Brian with a note that Sydney was trying to make things right. He replied within an hour, saying he was impressed and would discuss a possible collaboration. Over the next few days, Sydney's follower count fell from 12,000 to about 8,000 real followers who actually engaged. She stopped refreshing constantly and began making videos she enjoyed instead of chasing likes. At school, several girls approached her at lunch, admitting they'd considered buying followers. One showed an ad for the same service. Sydney spent the period showing them bot accounts and explaining how the companies sell fake numbers that don't help. By Friday, she'd organized a small group meeting in the library to talk about social media pressure and honest growth. Meanwhile, Raina posted stories claiming she hadn't known the service sold fake followers, saying she was a victim too. Screenshots of her referral payments circulated, though, and 3 small brands said they were reviewing their partnerships with her. Her follower count started to drop as people realized she'd misrepresented her engagement. On Saturday, while Sydney edited a video, I suggested she and Caitlin collaborate on a post about what happened. Caitlin didn't refuse, which felt like progress. They arranged to meet with Cheryl to plan a responsible, helpful message. The next Tuesday, they filmed a video in the empty cafeteria with Cheryl off camera to keep things constructive. It was awkward, but both took responsibility. Caitlin admitted the hate campaign went too far. Sydney acknowledged publicly ditching a longtime friend was cruel. They posted the video Wednesday with a caption about rebuilding trust, even if they wouldn't be close again. The video reached more people than expected and prompted others to share stories about friendships damaged by social media. That Thursday, Brian offered Sydney a new 3-month trial campaign focused on authentic engagement, with strict rules against buying followers and regular audits. The pay was lower than the original deal, but tied to actual engagement, so it rewarded sustainable growth. Sydney signed and started planning genuine content. Beckett's analytics work also paid off. The computer teacher liked his project so much he connected him with a tech company offering summer internships in social media analytics and bot detection. Dad announced a phone-free trip to the farmer's market that weekend. I took my camera and shot portraits of vendors instead of posting stories. The market felt more meaningful than chasing online attention. Vendors gave me emails to send prints, and I enjoyed the in-person exchange. That Sunday, Sydney and I sat down and drew a filming calendar with colored markers, kitchen times, quiet hours, and bathroom off-limits after 9 p.m. She promised to ask before filming me and not to post anything with me in it without permission. We taped the laminated schedule to the fridge next to the chore chart. Monday, my cousin posted a clip of our kitchen fight about the bot scandal, tagging it with family drama hashtags. It blew up locally. I sent screenshots to the family chat and asked my cousin to take it down. Mom had them remove the post, but screenshots continued to circulate. That night, Mom admitted she'd bought 100 followers for her recipe account 6 months earlier and showed us the receipt. She deleted the fake followers in front of us to demonstrate accountability. The timing felt convenient, revealing her own experiment after calling out Sydney, which made me wonder how much else people were hiding. Dad pushed for concrete rules. We spent 2 hours drafting a formal family contract on the laptop with spending limits, privacy boundaries, and disclosure requirements for brand offers. Everyone signed it, including Dad, who doesn't use social media. The contract banned recording family arguments and buying engagement, and required disclosure of any brand contacts. Thursday night, Sydney asked me to help edit a long, scattered confession she'd written. We spent 3 hours condensing it into clear, reader-friendly language and uploaded it Friday with a straightforward title about fake followers and real consequences. The post sparked conversation. Teachers praised her bravery, influencers reposted it, and people shared similar experiences. The principal invited Sydney, Caitlin, and me to speak at a digital wellness assembly the following week. We agreed, with Cheryl moderating to keep the discussion constructive. Brian's revised contract also included mental health resources and guidance on handling online pressure. Beckett's internship opportunity continued to look promising. The farmer's market photos I'd taken were selected for the spring showcase. The art teacher asked for prints for the hallway in a district competition. Sydney offered to drive me to the shop to print them while she returned makeup she'd bought with fake follower money. 2 weeks after Mom's analytics revelation, the house felt different. Sydney was down to about 8,000 real followers, posting less frequently, but getting authentic comments. Mom's recipe account had grown to a few hundred real followers who actually tried her dishes. I worked on my portfolio and got genuine feedback from photographers online. Dad even downloaded Instagram just to follow us. The family contract remained on the fridge, and for once, everyone stuck to it. That Sunday, Sydney knocked on my door with a calendar and colored markers to finalize filming zones. We agreed on boundaries, and she promised to ask before filming me and not to use old embarrassing photos without permission. Thanks for following the whole story. If you made it to the end, drop a comment. I actually read them.